Ladies, gentlemen, and nightfarers of all ages, each of the different characters in this game have vastly different playstyles. Some of them even having multiple different ways that you can build them within their kit, but the real thing that defines the way that your expeditions will feel on a consistent basis are the relics that you choose to use on each character. We've covered quite a few extremely powerful starting relic setups for the different nightfarers, and today I want to go over some extremely strong choices to use on the two characters that we have not talked about yet, being Raider and Recluse, and we've also got a really fun and potent Executor set up as well, which is what I want to start off with today. Ailments are fun. And ailments are very strong. Bleed is known for being incredibly powerful in general in Elden Ring, of course, just bursting off large chunks of an enemy's HP each time that it is triggered. Poison is sort of the opposite. Once applied, it will slowly deal damage over time. And Frostbite, well, it's sort of a middle ground between them. It chunks off a pile of health when it first triggers, but then it stays applied as a debuff on the enemy that makes them take more damage. All of these ailments or statuses, whichever term you want to use, are quite strong in their own right, but what if you could use all three of them at the same time with the same weapon? And what if you could do it with a character that has an S rank in arcane scaling in a game where every status, including even Frostbite, has its build-up scale with arcane? This is triple status Executor. With the right relic setup, you can get your starting weapon to apply bleed buildup, poison buildup, and frostbite buildup after using the Ash of War, making you an absolute status application machine that just chunks through enemies. Not to mention that there are easy to guarantee relics that offer these things, and do so while also giving you a damage boost after poison is applied to something nearby you, and also increase your damage against enemies that are afflicted by frostbite. And that still leaves you an entire extra relic slot free to just work in something powerful like the rally mechanic, the partial HP restoration on post-damage attacks. From that point, your starting weapon is unbelievably powerful, even more so if you upgrade it to purple quality, which you can do very early in an expedition because you can upgrade any weapon to purple before you hit level 7 and still use it. It's only naturally purple weapons that have the level requirement for them. So before like level 4 or 5, if you prioritize a mine, you can have a purple katana with all three statuses applicable from it, which can then just carry you for the entire rest of your run. And importantly, will give you a very consistent start to every expedition with this character, which means you will snowball your power and become a menace by the end of day 2, even if you have bad RNG and bad rolls on your actual drops. That said, for things to look out for, you ideally want to find a katana during your run with whatever the Night Lord is weak to, so that you can power stance them. If they are weak to lightning, you want to find a katana with lightning damage. And then finding the Night Lord itself, you can either power stance these two katanas together to slowly apply status while also using the effective affinity, or you can specifically just focus on using the ailment katana to apply the poison and frostbite, then swap to the katana that has the element weakness more actively. This build also does easily work solo. It works in a group. It is just generally very, very, very good. For the actual relics you need for this one, then, two of them are yellows, and the third one is an RNG relic, so it can be any color technically. And that means that the vessel is a little bit malleable. The urn works if the best rally relic that you have is red, the chalice works if the best one you have is blue, or you can get the one that is all three yellow if you have a good yellow relic with that effect. All of them are viable choices. That said, the specific things you are after is the Knight of the Wise relic, which you get guaranteed after defeating Noster, the sentient pest. And this gives us poison on starting armament, it gives us increased attack power after triggering said poison, and it also just gives us increased maximum FP, which is nice to have in general. We also want the Knight of the Miasma relic, which is a guaranteed drop after defeating Caligo, the Fisher in the Fog, and this gives us Chilling Mist on starting equipment, which then coats our blade in Frostbite after we use the Ash of War. It gives us stealth after we apply Frostbite, just as a sort of general bonus, but then also increased attack power when hitting a Frostbite afflicted enemy on top of that. Then your third relic slot is just whatever randomly rolled relic you have that can fit with the others that ideally has partial HP restoration on post-damage attacks, as that is just an incredibly powerful singular effect for any melee weapon-based build. And then anything else that you have on that relic is, of course, purely a bonus, so choose the best option that you've got. Next up then, we've got the Raider, and our Raider setup is going to be mostly based around his character skill. This skill, if you get hit during the wind-up animation, applies a load of stagger damage and just a burst of damage as well in general in front of you. There is an effect that can show up on relics for Raider that gives you an attack boost and stamina regeneration buff for a short duration after your character skill if you trigger this effect, if you take damage while using it. And that means it also boosts your general damage after you finish using the skill as well. We are then going to pair that with the relic effect that is increased attack power after taking damage, which then of course means that doubles up to give us 2 separate buffs when getting hit while we do our character skill, which also gives us massive damage reduction while it's happening and gets benefits when you are hit while doing it anyways, so this is what you would want to do regardless. Then we pair that finally with another rally mechanic relic, the partial HP restoration on post-damage attacks, especially because if you get enough poise upgrades during a run, you can just trade with Raider and not actually lose health. That said, this one is relatively simple as a result. You just want to use the character skill as a parry, basically, and every time you do, you will get 2 separate damage boosts and a stamina boost to yourself as well, and you'll get to apply some serious damage and stagger buildup as you go. Otherwise, you just want to play around the classic Raider playstyle, use big weapons, power stance them, jump attacks with them, always great, and the ult is useful too, but make sure that you do not pop the totem right on top of a small enemy, because if they get trapped inside of it, then it's just an awful thing to have happen in general, and your teammates will not like you. That said, for the specific relic setup, you can use the Claw Talisman Remembrance relic, which is a guaranteed relic with the increased attack power after taking damage during character skill. But you can also get much better relic combos with that effect through RNG. So every relic I recommend for this one is actually going to be an RNG drop that I have had happen myself, and so the vessel will also be dependent on what your options are. That said, for the relics for this build, the 3 effects that you want to focus on is the Raider specific character skill attack boost effect, the attack power increase after taking damage, and then of course the partial HP restoration on post damage attacks as well. Any other effects that you can fit onto your relics while having those 3 main ones are just a bonus. And in fact, the set that I've got here right now is quite good, and that one blue relic is actually nearly perfect. This one as a build is relatively simple, but it offers you a solid route to consistent power right at the start of an expedition with Raider every single time. Then our final build today is for the Recluse, and this is just going to be a generally very generically strong setup for her, focused around 2 main things: boosting damage and boosting FP. The main effects that we are after from our relics then are suffer blood loss on art activation, but gain increased attack power. This is basically just bonus damage during your ultimate. Collecting affinity residue activates Terra Magica is also a fantastic Recluse specific effect if you are focusing on using actual magic damage spells especially. And then the third relic slot is specifically for boosting your FP and getting the most potent FP boost that you can from here. Recluse is an odd character in that she's extremely easy to build for, but only if you have the right stuff to do it with. It's quite clear what her goals are in general, and her class-specific relic effects are almost all quite powerful, which also makes her guaranteed remembrance relics quite good too. But this specific set of 3 that I have running here is just extremely potent in general and only uses 1 remembrance relic. It also makes Recluse feel even better, and of course more consistent, which is the goal. As far as what to search for actively during your expedition, sorcery and incantation boosts in general are great, and you want to try and find some sort of spell that matches the Night Lord's weakness, whether that be finding some sort of fire to deal with a fire weak Night Lord, or holy to deal with holy weakness, stuff like that. Outside of that, a really easy and consistent spell that you can find early in most expeditions is Shattering Crystal. This is basically the magical shotgun spell in the game. It does great damage, it doesn't cost a crazy amount of FP to cast, and even if it did, you can regenerate FP pretty endlessly on this character anyways. So look out for stabs that have Shattering Crystal, and try to go out of your way to go to forts early on day 1 if you get the fort layout with the Crystallian boss up top, because you are highly likely to be offered a a staff with Shattering Crystal on it when defeating that boss. Otherwise, just look for generically strong spells in general, and forts are a good place to aim for the fact that they have racks of staves. That's it. As far as the specific relics then, there's the Guaranteed Remembrance relic for Recluse that gives Terra Magica on Affinity Residue Collection and Magic Attack Power +2, which is very solid in general, but if you plan on focusing on different damage types instead of magic specifically, you can replace this one for an FP booster too, but generally speaking, I'd say you get enough use out of this over a run that it's definitely worth having. The next one is an RNG relic with Suffer Blood Loss and Increase Attack Power upon Art activation. The Recluse exclusive effect that seems relatively common, but just gives you bonus damage during your ult at the cost of taking a bit of damage when you use it. You want that effect paired with anything else that is relevant for the character. And then in the final slot, it is also an RNG relic, which one depends on what you've got, but because some of the effects are quite rare. The top tier effect is either of the two that say maximum FP increased with 3+ staves equipped or 3+ seals equipped, as that specific effect gives you a bonus 50 maximum FP. That is more than half of the base starting FP and around a quarter of the base FP that you have at level 15. So it is a massive chunk of bonus FP that will also scale with any bonus FP bonuses that you find during your run. And it's super easy to find 3 seals in a box in any run just by going to a great church, or 3 staffs on a rack in any fort. So it's a really consistent, strong bonus, but with the caveat that activating this requires 3 of your weapon slots, so if you don't find ones with good passives, this could bite you in the butt a little bit. This is essentially the high risk, high reward maximum FP increase option. The second tier of FP bonus is maximum FP permanently increased after releasing a Sorcerer's Rise mechanism. This is an 18% bonus to your maximum FP, so the more FP you have, the more value this has. At level 1, this is around 15 bonus FP, whereas at level 15, this would be around 35 bonus FP to just the base amount. And of course, being a percent bonus, it would also scale with any other sources of bonus FP that you have or find during the run, and combining this with the previous FP effect, if you could have both of them, is how people have gotten the just comically large FP bars sometimes, but in my opinion, that's just complete overkill for Recluse, where you can just absorb residues for FP regen anyway. So just one of these effects, any one of them, will definitely do the job. And if you want something that doesn't require finding good passives on seals or staves, or taking up half of your inventory space, then dropping down to this second tier of bonus maximum FP is still really solid. And at the end of the day, it's not a crazy difference because the Magic Cocktails FP Restore is a flat number that you regain. It's not a percentage, so it's not based on your maximum FP, so having a lot more FP really only helps for bursts of damage rather than overall consistency. That said, those effects are all random rolls, so if you happen to have none of them on any of your random drops, the next best one is the maximum FP increase that is specifically on the Knight of the Wise relic, which is guaranteed after defeating Noster, the Sentient Pest. This maximum FP increase specifically is plus 25 flat maximum FP right at the beginning of any expedition, and it's better than the randomly rolled maximum FP increase of a similar wording. It's better than getting bonus mined or stuff like that, so that is your priority order for the third slot. That just about does it for today then, everyone. Another set of extremely powerful builds for a few different Nightfarers in Elden Ring Nightreign, each build embodying a different playstyle and a different sort of goal for how it comes together. As per usual, the main idea behind these is not necessarily to dictate how you will play the game for the rest of time, but just to give you a really strong, consistent base of power that you can start with in every expedition, and then evolve that through the run, dependent on what items happen to drop for you through random rolls. I hope you've all enjoyed this then, and hopefully you enjoy using these builds for yourself too if you try them out. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.